thunder chose silence. A 10-chapter myth. Chapter 1. When chains outnumbered names. The palace of Oyo, deep night. The Bada drums had been silent for 3 market days. Rain refused to fall. Shango paced the red earth of his courtyard. Osh clutched in his fist, but the staff was cold. They pray, his wife Oya said, watching the sky. But not to us. It is worse, Shango answered. They pray and hear nothing. He pressed his palm to the ground. The earth trembled, not with storm, but with grief. It carried voices from across the great water. Hundreds of names being unmade, one by one, replaced with numbers and brands. Each lost name was a small lightning strike against his chest. He stood. The clouds above Oyo stirred for the first time in weeks, but they did not roar. They listened. Find them, he told the wind. Find my children. Chapter 2. Smoke that would not die. Below deck, a ship off-sent. Simon's Island, 1803. The air was salt and blood. Enweek, an elder from the Igbo highlands, sat shackled to a boy who could not be more than 12. The boy shook with fever. Do you remember? Enweek whispered in Igbo. The boy's eyes were dull. Remember what? Your mother's song, the one for planting. Others heard. A woman to Enweek's left began to hum. The sound was thin at first, like smoke through a crack. Then another voice joined. Then another. The words were not English. They were not for the captain. They were drums buried beneath salt water, still remembering how to speak. The water spirit brought us, Enweek said, louder now. The water spirit will bring us home. The hull creaked. Something in the air changed. The boy's shivering stopped. His bones, for a breath, felt light. Chapter 3. The Greedy Ocean. The same ship, midnight. They chose the hour when the sea was black and the guards were drunk. Enweek spoke the old words, and 50 hands moved as one. Chains broke not with metal, but with will. The captain's men fell to the deck. Triumph lasted 6 heartbeats. The ship ran aground on a sandbar. Beyond the rail, marsh grass and darkness. The ocean waited, greedy. We swim, a young man said. No, Enweek told him. We drown that way. Our children drown that way. He looked up. The sky was a lid. The wind was weak. A woman clutched her stomach. Sorrow is heavy, she whispered. I cannot lift it. They were lifting, but not enough. The impossible needed a witness. Chapter 4. Thunder did not roar. Above the Atlantic, where storm meets spirit, Shango climbed the sky. He did not use stairs or wind. He used rage. When he reached the ceiling of the world, he opened his hands. Lightning did not fall. It pointed. It tore paths through the night, not to burn ships, but to draw roads across the dark. The clouds did not rumble. They parted like frightened kings. Then Shango spoke. It was not a shout. It was a command that made reality bend around the syllables. "Fly," he said, "and do not look back." On every plantation where the old words still lived, people woke with their hearts pounding. On the sandbar at St. Simon's, Enweek heard it in his marrow. The sky had answered. Chapter 5. A Forgotten Language. The Uprising of Air. Enweek stood. His chains fell like dead rain. He took one step onto the rail, then another into nothing. He did not fall. The boy followed, then the woman, then hundreds, not just from that ship, from rice fields in Carolina, from sugar mills in Jamaica, from kitchens in Georgia, where grandmothers still whispered the old names. They rose like a forgotten language, spoken again at last. An overseer in Savannah ran outside and saw what he later called a storm in reverse. The sky became a road, lit by lightning that did not strike. Water dared not claim them. A child asked, "Are we birds now?" "No," Enweek said, tears running up his face into the wind. "We are remembered." Chapter 6. Held by a God's will. The sky held open. Shango stood in the middle of the atmosphere with his arms wide. The storm was a bridge, and he was the pillar. He could feel every one of them. A grandmother who still knew the path to her village. A boy who dreamed in Yoruba, though he'd been born in Charleston. A woman whose unborn child kicked in time with the bada she had never heard. The heavens trembled beneath him. The storm clawed at his own bones. Lightning left him in ribbons to keep the path lit. Oya appeared beside him, her wind trying to help. "You will empty yourself," she warned. "I know," Shango said. "Hold them if I fall." He refused to let memory drown. Chapter 7. The Price of Storms. The Unmaking of Thunder. Mile by mile, the price was taken to hold them aloft. He fed the sky his fire. His fingertips went dark. The lightning in his veins drained out to keep their feet from touching sea. To silence the sea, he emptied his thunder. The ocean below tried to roar, to call them back. He poured his voice into the waves until they lay flat as stone. To carry them home, he gave away the storm itself. The ocean in his hand cooled. The crown of cloud above his head dissolved. With each village they passed over, Shango became less god of sky and more vessel of sacrifice. Power always asks. Tonight it asked everything. Chapter 8. The Quiet Sky. Ayo, 3 days later. The last figure vanished into the horizon of West Africa. Shango closed his hands. The sky closed with them. It fell quiet. No lightning crowned the clouds. No thunder spoke in his name. Rain forgot how to fall. In the fields, yams cracked in dry soil. The Niger thinned into a ghost of itself. Children asked their fathers why the sky was empty. Shango walked through the market. People bowed, then looked confused. The air around him no longer smelled like ozone. He stood beneath that silent sky, his hands empty of fire, and did not regret it. Chapter 9. Stories Reborn. a village that had been ash, now green again. They landed at dawn, not as slaves, but as stories reborn. And Week's feet touched soil, and the soil knew him. It hummed up through his legs. The boy fell to his knees and kissed the earth. The pregnant woman gasped, then laughed, because her child had stopped kicking and started dancing. Old women came from the tree line. They had been waiting since the first ship left. They did not ask where the others had been. They only said, "You are home." In that place, the air still hums, not with thunder, but with something greater. Freedom paid in storms. They rebuilt. They renamed. They taught the children the words that fly. Chapter 10. The Echo That Chose Silence. Many years later, everywhere and nowhere, Shango never fully regained his thunder. He can call a small storm if the land is desperate, but the great roaring left him. In Oyo, drummers now leave a beat of silence in every song for him. They call it the silence that carries. And if you listen when the sky is too quiet, when rain forgets your roof, you might hear it, a distant echo, low, steady, full of restraint. It is not the roar of a king. It is the silence of a god who traded his voice so others could rise. A child in Bahia asks her grandmother, "Why does the sky stop sometimes?" The grandmother smiles, because once thunder chose silence, so we could speak.